Welcome everyone to Canadian Yorker, and we are live doing another live stream on our YouTube channel, and we are talking about some interesting news um, in regards to we're talking about soccer today. I'm coming with another soccer video, and excuse me, um, so we're coming today with another soccer video, and this is in regards to um, the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team, and specifically also on the one of the players that for the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team being Trinity Rodman. So I'm doing this video, this live stream for today, to inform everybody that Trinity Rodman has been undergoing some injury. She's been injured, and we're going to be going into that thing for the first part of our live stream, and then after that, for the second part of the live stream, we're going to be talking about, I'm giving you guys an update on the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team after this. So let's get into what we're going to talk about for tonight in regards to Trinity Rodman. So it's been reported then for the past month and for last month and this month that Trinity Rodman has been injured, and so she suffered a back injury, and she's been in recovery since that time. So it's been some time since she's been injured, and she's slowly making her comeback, recovering from this back injury that's affecting her. So according to the ProSoccerWire.USA.com, Trinity Rodman has been suffered from a back injury. So let's get into this article here. It says U.S. Women's National Team star Trinity Rodman says back injury left her in pain all the time. This article was written on July 29, 2025. I have included, as usual, the links to these articles in the description box for anyone to check out. So, please do check it out when you got the time. So, without further ado, so it says here, continuing, that U.S. Women's National Team star Trinity Rodman on Tuesday spoke with the media for the first time since pausing her National Women's Soccer League season with the Washington Spirit to pursue specialized treatment over a long-term back injury. Rodman recently returned to the D.C. area and has been training with the Spirit over the last couple of weeks. However, the forward has made notable progress over the past 10 days, moving from a mix of team exercises and individual drills to being able to participate in a full session on a witheringly hot day in Inova Performance Center in Leesburg, Virginia. Trinity Rodman said, quote, "I'm just happy to be back and actually in a team training and not coming back on the side from step one," a smiling Rodman told reporters after training. Rodman was candid about her period away from the Spirit and took responsibility for some habits that may have prevented a back injury that first appeared in a rookie season from healing. But Trinity Rodman said, quote, "I think for me mentally it was hard. And now being better and fixing the problem, I can now kind of openly say I was in pain all the time. Working through that was difficult," close quote. So Rodman also said, quote, "I'm a pretty positive, happy, energetic person in general, and even when I'm not, I'll hide it and I'll still be happy. It was very difficult, and I think to trying to function through pain and kind of gaslight myself into thinking it was fine every day when it wasn't," close quote. Rodman is credited for the Spirit for the trust they've had in me to take some control over her recovery process, something she admitted can be a tough in any team environment. Trinity Rodman said, quote unquote, "I think a lot of things in team sports are uncontrollably individually. Just because you kind of have to look to the medical staff like, oh, what do I do? What's happening? What treatment am I doing?" explained the 23-year-old. "I think the trust I've had in them, but also the trust that they've had in me, to allow me to look on the outside and figure out who needs to help me, and not having a power trip like I'm the only person that can try to help you. And I think that's been very good for me." Rodman also said, quote unquote, being able to work every single day on myself and being on a team, it's hard to get 4 trainers to have eyes on 20, 25, 30 people. So yeah, for me, I'm really happy I got to progress that way. Obviously, it sucks being away from the team and being away from soccer in general, but I got to work on things that I wouldn't have gotten to work on if I was in the team environment all the time. So I think that was a positive. The California native said that her experience has been a big learning lesson, particularly when it comes to looking after her body and communicating exactly where she's at with coaches and trainers. Rodman said, quote unquote, everyone's not going to need the same activation or strength conditioning. I've learned that. Rodman said, adding the part of her lesson in the last 3 months is finding the certain strength and conditioning that she has to do, certain little muscles that she needs to work that other people don't need to work, quote unquote. Rodman said there wasn't a moment where she was suddenly pain-free, but said the constant pain from her back subsided a couple of months ago. Per the U.S. National Women's Team star, that development has mattered beyond allowing her to return to full training, and has had a major impact on her day-to-day life. Not feeling the pain has changed her life consistently. As Rodman says, quote unquote, I've been an even happier person, so that's really nice. Just the way I function on a day-to-day basis, and not even a soccer piece, just the walking around, doing things around my house, being a normal person. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. With all the good news, it's tempting for Rodman to dive back in as a Spirit host of Portland Thorns on Sunday in a meeting between the two National Women's Soccer League's top 5 sides at the halfway mark of the 2025 campaign. Rodman admitted she wants to get 90 minutes in this weekend against Portland, but acknowledged that it's not the best idea at this early stage. Despite her past scoffing at the idea of being labeled a veteran, Rodman is approaching her return to fitness with the measured patience of a far more experienced player. Dennis Rodman said, quote unquote, these first couple of games back, we're talking about how to progress, explained Rodman when asked about her and the Spurs' approach to her return, noting there have been tough conversations but good conversations on that front. It was stupid thinking short term. I was like, I really want to play this game. I really want to play in this game. Then in the long term, it messed me up. So now it's really understanding what my body acknowledge when it's in pain, and days when it's more score than others, more tight than others, and not pushing through things I shouldn't. Continuing on the theme of taking a longer view, Rodman said that part of staying healthy is going to be changing her game, finding ways to be more judicious, while staying true to the qualities that have made her one of the top players in women's soccer. Dennis Rodman said, why did I say Dennis Rodman? Not Dennis Rodman, guys. I apologize. Please forgive me, Trinity Rodman. Not Dennis Rodman. Trinity Rodman. She's the daughter of Dennis Rodman. Alright. Trinity Rodman said, quote, I said it in such a depressing way before. I'm not gonna be joked. She said she's never gonna be the same. Joked Trinity Rodman, making light of her own words after the Spirit win back in March. I'm still gonna be Trinity, but I think the way that I throw my body around before, maybe not. Just being smarter about certain tackles, certain runs, certain 50-50s. Trinity Rodman said, I'm still going to be intense. I'm still going to give 100% all the time. But I think there's parts of my game where I need to save energy or adjust to certain tackles. And I think I've been doing a pretty good job with that so far coming back into training. While Rodman had to slog out days rehabbing alone, another major career development came in. Her Spirit contract ends at the conclusion of the National Women's Soccer League season, and teams in the U.S. and abroad are now allowed to approach her with offers to carry on her playing career elsewhere. Washington CEO Kim Stone recently told reporters that the Spirit owner Michelle Kang is leading the team's negotiations over a new deal, expressing optimism that all parties could reach terms that keeps the Olympic gold medalist in D.C. Rodman said it was a weird situation for that to come up while she's also been dealing with an injury that seems on some level to be one that could impact her entire career. The idea of testing the market is also a new experience for her, as Rodman was selected second overall in the 2021 National Women's Soccer League College Draft and agreed to a long-term contract extension in February 2022, well before the option of leaving on a free transfer existed. Trinity Rodman said, "This is the first time I've heard I've been in the kind of situation where it's like, what's happening? Dealing with this injury the whole time, and I barely played, so it's a weird situation." She said I'm trying not to stress out about it, put too much pressure on it, because at the end of the day, I'm worried about health first, and then everything else can come next, quote unquote. Rodman's current deal is down to its final months, and it's only natural that big spending European powers like OL Lyons, another Kang and old clubs, Chelsea and Arsenal, could have an interest in a player of her quality. However, ask the player, and if you get an answer that reflects the same kind of newfound perspective that she has picked up battling injury, Trinity Rodman said, quote, I'm just going with the flow like everyone else. I'm not too concerned about it at the moment. I'm most worried about getting healthy, getting my minutes, and then I can sit down and figure out what kind of game she has. So there you have it, guys. So Trinity Rodman has been going through the motions. She's been going through the motions of, struggling with injury, but she's definitely been making her her impact known. So there's a lot that she's handling there. Of course, we're not done with Trinity Rodman. She's been suffering from this back injury for some time, apparently, and it's been affecting her for some time. So, of course, players, when they go through back injury, they're going to have these nagging injuries that are going to affect them throughout the course of their career. So there's a lot that she has to do. She has to definitely make sure that she can keep herself in good shape. And she's still young. She's only 23 years old. It's unfortunate that someone that young should be suffering from an injury like this. But, these things happen, of course. So let's just continue here. Just going to skip forward. Doing it again. Trinity Rodman. Just trying to find not that article. Not the article about her. We already did the one on her slamming ESPN for what happened. We already did that. Oh man, for some reason I cannot get it going. So it's unfortunate. But I'm gonna have to skip that article, guys. As it is noted right there in that one article, it also talks about Trinity Rodman's injury. It kind of goes more into detail about it. But we're just gonna skip that one and move on to this article here. That's from CBSSports.com. So Trinity Rodman, she's still dealing with a back injury, but she's able to overcome it, as she played makes a big return on the big stage. Battling injuries, finally she gets a game-winning goal in for her team playing in this game. So it says U.S. Women's National Team star Trinity Rodman makes an emotional return from injury, needs just minutes to score game-winning goal. So it says here it was a return to play that couldn't have been scripted any better than if it were written by a dream weaver. It's been 114 days since 23-year-old forward Trinity Rodman played in a professional soccer match, and nearly a year since she last scored a goal as a U.S. Women's National Team player worked her way back from a lengthy back injury. Trinity Rodman made her return off the bench as a late-game sub for the Washington Spirit against the Portland Thorns on Sunday, and then came the fireworks. After a 4-month absence to rehab her back, she scored on the game winner in a stoppage time with a brilliant strike A cross into the box by Courtney Brown was flicked off by midfielder Crocs Bethune for an open Rodman near the far post, and the winger hammered home the goal. It was a highly emotional moment for the player and her teammates. So it says here, quote unquote, we had to adjust a little bit second half, and it wasn't as clean as we wanted it to be, but it still created a lot of opportunities. I'm so proud of the team. Obviously, I've been away, and so they've been putting in that work when I haven't been here. So I'm grateful to be back on the field with them. They're in full support of me. I'm in full support of them. And with the celebration, them just like hugging me was the best thing ever, Trinity Rodman said after the game. The Washington Spirit winger is no stranger to health concerns with her back. Rodman has dealt with back tightness since her rookie season in 2021 and general flare-ups. But post the Olympic gold medal win, her back pain considerably worsened. In 2025, it's been a trial and error process of time off, rest, and trying new methods of managing her back. In November, after subbing out of the 2024 National Women's Soccer League Championship in pain, Trinity Rodman was given extended time off from the national team camps as well. She was not part of the January camps or the 2025 She Believes World Cup roster and spent time building up minutes when the 2025 National Women's Soccer League regular season began in March. She featured against Brazil during the April international window, but the following two-game series, the Washington Spirit and the player would be away from team activity to manage her injury, with no timetable for her return. After the game, Trinity Rodman spoke about the emotions of her return to play and the work she's done to get back on the pitch. Trinity Rodman said, quote unquote, it was just the hardest thing I've had to go through with injury and everything. So being back, especially at the home stadium with the crowd behind me scoring a goal like that, you saw I buried it. I was not going to miss it. So yeah, I'm really just happy to be back. I miss the team. I miss doing what I loved, she said. She also said, quote unquote, I was doing a lot of work behind the scenes by myself. I was getting fit, obviously not in the team environment, which was kind of difficult to replicate as best I could by myself. But yeah, I was working on a lot of my endurance. I was working on getting my back to work the way it should, and it kind of tweaking it certain things in the way that I moved. So it feels great to be back. Trainings have been amazing since I've been back, and I'm just going to keep building. So there we have it, guys. Trinity Rodman scored a goal against for the Washington Spirits in this game. Definitely was a big success for her. You know, she did great, and that's great to see. It's great to see a player overcome the struggles and obstacles they have in life. She delivered for her team. She got the win. That's wonderful. So it says here, so in this other article from Yahoo Sports, also going in on what happened. So Trinity Rodman, she returns from injury, scores game-winning goal for Spirit in first game since April. So it says here, nearly 4 months after her last appearance and a year since her last National Women's Soccer League goal, Trinity Rodman is back. The 23-year-old forward has been out since April while recovering from an ongoing back injury, but in an emotional return on Sunday, she played hero for Washington Spirit, scoring a goal in stoppage time to send the Spirit over the Portland Thorns 2-1. Rodman came in on the 75th minute, earning a standing ovation from the crowd at Audi Field, and it didn't take long for her to make a difference. In the 92nd minutes, Rox Bethune sent the ball to Rodman with a wild back leg pass, and Rodman smashed it home to send the Spirit ahead 2-1. Rodman was immediately emotional after the goal, holding her hands to her face and wiping away tears before being rushed by her team. The emotion continued after the game as Rodman spoke on how the return felt a long and frustrating recovery. Rodman has regularly spoken about her back pain, which she has been dealing with since 2022. Then it came to head last fall when she was carted off the field in a wheelchair due to spasms. Rodman said, quote, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through with injury and everything. Rodman said post-game on Sunday, very visibly emotional. being back at the end of a home stadium with the crowd behind me, scoring a goal like that. You saw I buried it. I probably just read that. So it says here, Rodman had only played 4 games this season prior to Sunday, with her most recent appearance coming on April 12th, but it's been a while since Rodman was able to bury a goal like that. Sunday's goal for Rodman was her first since September 15th, 2024. It was also a big moment for Bethune, the reigning National Women's Soccer League Rookie of the Year, after leading the league in assists last year, even with a season-ending injury. Sunday marked Bethune's first assist this season. Rodman's go-ahead goal came at the right time for the Washington, which had followed a stellar first half with a bit of frantic first half. The Spirit were in complete control to start the game, with Gifts Monday giving Washington the lead in the 17th minute off a perfect assist from Rosemond Kawasi. But despite the Spirit's dominance, the Thorns found the back of the net in the first half stoppage time, with Olivia Moultrie getting the goal from distance. The second half was much less controlled than the first, as the Thorns threatened the Spirit's defense more often and it nearly took the lead. And then Rodman sent in stoppage time banger, and the Spirit walked away with a win. With the victory, the Washington leapfrogs the Orlando Pride to take second place in the standings, although it is still the 10 full points ahead of the dominant Kansas City Current. Portland, meanwhile, stalls in 6th. So, there we have it, guys, for this game. This game for the Washington Spirit not only helped the Washington Spirit get into second place, get ahead of their rivals, but it also was a big return for Trinity Rodman in this game. So, it's a statement. It's a great win for them. So, now, there's also we're just kind of paying attention to what's going on with Trinity Rodman here. So, was it just last week, Trinity Rodman, again, she plays with the Washington Spirit in the Women's CONCAF Champions Cup. So apparently in this game, she scored a goal, and then she left after 20 minutes in the game to 30 minutes. So according to this article from ProSoccerWire.com, we're learning about this, and this was written August 19th, 2025. So it says here, Trinity Rodman had a curious Tuesday night with the U.S. Women's National Team star scoring a goal off the bench in a CONCAF Women's Champions Cup clash for the Washington Spirit before departing in a 28-minute appearance. Rodman came on at halftime for the Spirit, who routed Alianza FC Women at 7-0 at Estadio Nacional Las Delicias in Santa Tecla. The 23-year-old got on the score sheet in the 56th minute, but exited in the 73rd, with the Washington head coach Adrian Gonzalez bringing on Crocs Bixsoon in her place. Rodman's departure did not appear to be injury-related, with the broadcast capturing her having a laugh with Bethune and Lacey Santos as she came off. At full time, Rodman was walking and chatting without any obvious issue as Spirits players shook hands with those from Alianza. In a statement supplied by Pro Soccer Wire, a Washington Spirit spokesperson called the substitution a coach's decision. Playing on the left wing, Rodman got on the score sheet with relative ease. The California native tracked down a Brittany Ratcliffe cross that evaded Rosemond Kawasi, who would go on to score a hat trick and calmly deposited it into an empty net. The Spirit held a 2-0 lead on Alianza at halftime on goals from Kawasi and Chloe Ricketts before breaking the game open. Along with Rodman's goal, Ratcliffe struck in the 49th minute, with Kawasi tacked on 2 more in the game's next 10 minutes. Sofia Cantor would bag a late 7th as Washington started its first ever international tournament in good form. The Spirit are in the midst of a daunting schedule this week. After a 2-2 home draw against Racing Louisville this past Friday, they flew to El Salvador for Women's Champions Cup play that will go directly from there to California to play Bay FC at Oracle Park on Saturday. The appearance in El Salvador was Rodman's fourth since returning to play, a long absence rehabbing a persistent back injury. After playing 45 minutes against Louisville on April 12th, Rodman sought specialist treatment in Europe, but made her way to training during the National Women's Soccer League summer break. Rodman scored on an emotional game-winning goal in her first National Women's Soccer League appearance following the injury. With a slow build to how many minutes she can play, Rodman came in for the final 15 minutes of a home win over the Portland Thorns, then progressed to 33 minutes against Gotham and 45 in Friday's draw. So, as you can see here, the progression of Trinity Rodman, she's slowly getting back into her usual form. Obviously, this back injury has bothered her and is giving her problems with her performance, but despite those issues, she's slowly, becoming more and more better at being able to stay longer in the game, and with her getting the constant treatment she needs, and also playing the amount of minutes that she can play, it's definitely going to help her to recover faster, to get back into her usual soccer form. So she's definitely taking care of her body. That's a positive thing to see. Sometimes players suffer from injuries that affect them throughout their whole career, and Trinity Rodman is no different. I just have to say, I don't know how long we'll have left to see her play in the National Women's Soccer League and in the U.S. Women's National Team, but it would be great to see her continue to get better, continue to improve as she gets older. Of course, as you get older, injuries that affect people as they get older, as long as they're taking care of their body, they're able to manage them and handle them. But the injuries will go away, but they sometimes never go away. So you kind of stuck with the injury over time. So you have to learn how to navigate through that over time. So we're moving forward from talking about Trinity Rodman's injury status and how she has been progressing over time to talking about the U.S. Women's National Team now. And so there's been a third opponent that has been determined for the National Women's Soccer Team. I think in the past last broadcast I did, I mentioned that there were already two opponents. There were already two opponents that were selected already. I believe the first person that they're playing against, if I'm not mistaken, Japan. I might be wrong, but I think that's the men's side. I cannot remember exactly what teams they're going to be playing for the women's national soccer team, but I know the men's national soccer team are playing their own. They're playing against some of their opponents. This article from August 21st, 2025. So it says U.S. Women's National Team to face New Zealand on October 29th in Kansas City, Missouri. So it says here, the final opponent for the 3-match October window for the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team has been confirmed, and the U.S. will take on New Zealand in Kansas City, Missouri on Wednesday, October 29th, and the team's first ever match on CPKC Stadium. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time on TNT. So it's going to be on TNT, Peacock, and Westwood One Sports. Excuse me. And also True TV and HBO Max. Before traveling to Kansas City, the United States will play 2 matches against Portugal. We'll play 2 matches against Portugal. The first will be on October 23rd at Subaru Park in Chester, Pennsylvania, presented by AT&T at 7 p.m. In English on Peacock and Spanish. and will also feature a special pregame retirement celebration for U.S. Women's National Team legend Alex Morgan. The second game will take place against Portland, will be on Sunday, October 26th at Pratt and Whitney Stadium in Leinster Field, East Hartford, Connecticut. That's going to be at 7 p.m. On Eastern Standard Time on HBO, Peacock, and Westwood One Sports. As part of the U.S. Soccer's continued efforts to develop winning teams and create opportunities for all disciplines of the game, this match day will feature a doubleheader with the U.S. men's deaf national team at 1 p.m. against an international opponent to be announced. U.S. goalkeeping legend Alyssa Naher will also be honored at her home state with a special pregame retirement ceremony. Interesting. I did not know there was a U.S. men's deaf national team. So apparently, it's interesting. I might have to cover that more. But there's a they have deaf professional teams for deaf players. Very interesting. Didn't know about that. Continuing, the article says here, the Football Ferns co-host 2023 FIFA Women's Cup are ranked number 33 in the world. The most recent matches between the teams were in Wellington and Auckland in January of 2023 on a pre-World Cup trip to New Zealand, with the USA winning 4-0 and 5-0 respectively. This will be the 22nd all-time meeting between the USA and New Zealand. The first matches in 1987 marked the Kiwis' first and only victory in the series. So there we have it for this article here from USSoccer.com, talking about the third opponent that the US will be facing, which is New Zealand. So that's wonderful. So one more article, and this article is from ProSoccerWire.com. Of course, it's still talking about U.S. Women's National Team to face New Zealand in October friendly. That was on August 22nd, 2025. The U.S. Women's National Team will face New Zealand in a friendly on October 25th, October 29th at CPKC Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. The U.S. Soccer has announced the match had already been confirmed, along with two friendlies against Portugal, but the opponent had not been announced. Kickoff will be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the game will be broadcast on TNT, True TV, HBO Max in English, and on Universal and Peacock in Spanish. It will be the first time the U.S. Women's National Team has visited CPKC Stadium, the 11,500-seat home of the Kansas City Current, which opened last year as the first stadium specifically built for a National Women's Soccer League team. Current owners Angie and Chris Long privately financed the facility, an investment that the U.S. Women's National Team head coach Emma Hayes said was worthy of a reward. The investment that Angie and Chris Lang have made in their club and this venture is massively impressive, important for the future of the women's game in the USA, and what deserves to be rewarded with a match like this, Hayes said. The U.S. Women's National Team and New Zealand have met 22 times before, and the Football Ferns winning just once, the key matchup in 1987. Most recently, the two teams faced off in New Zealand in January 2023, with the U.S. National Women's Team winning the two matches 5-0. So there we have it, guys. The U.S. Women's National Team will face New Zealand on October 2025, and so there's a lot that remains to be said. Perhaps New Zealand will break the losing streak that they had with the U.S. and win against the U.S., or the U.S. is going to continue its losing streak and find ways to basically become I'm going to say better players Um, so we'll have to see what's going to happen. If the U.S. women's soccer team is going to continue to build on their success against New Zealand, or is New Zealand going to come back with a surprise win against the U.S.? That remains to be seen. And also, Trinity Rodman is definitely suffering from back injuries, but she's definitely managing them and learning how she can be a better player, despite the fact that she cannot, uh, she cannot, she has to deal with this back injury she has. But she's learning to live with it and work through it and get better and stronger at her position as a uh, as a player. So there's a lot that remains to be seen with Trinity Rodman. Hopefully she does make a successful recovery. It's such a shame to see such young talent suffering from injuries at such a young age. And hopefully she'll be able to get that under control and she can manage it and continue her career as a professional soccer player. That's great to see. So there's a lot that remains to be said there. I think I'm gonna end it for today. On this note, guys, that the U.S. Women's National Team is gonna play against New Zealand and Portugal in October. So keep an eye out for that, and see how things go with how they do in the next game. So I will see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed this live stream, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Make sure you give likes. Share your likes. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you